She thought all that talk about the wig was just paranoia, some twisted theory born out of internet gossip. But then the footage dropped. Her face said it all. Shock, fear, guilt. Suddenly, whispers turned into a full-blown storm. Because if fans had seen this much, what else was being hidden about Celeste's death? Now brand new footage has surfaced, and it exposes David's darkest secret yet. Yo, listen up. This new video flips the entire story on its head. Forget everything you thought you knew about the David case, because what just came out changes everything. The clip allegedly shows David not just near the scene, not just connected through a car, but stealing his dead girlfriend Celeste's wig during what authorities are now calling one of the most disturbing celebrity scandals of the decade. Yeah, you heard that right. This isn't rumor. This isn't fan fiction. This is raw, unfiltered, and deeply unsettling. But the most shocking part of this clip, it's not even the act itself. It's what it reveals about David's mind. Here was a rising superstar who once had the world in his hands, and now it's slipping fast through his fingers. Because this story isn't just about a wig, it's about power, obsession, betrayal, and maybe something far darker. Let's rewind for a second. Back in September 2025, workers at a Hollywood impound lot stumbled upon something that would shatter David's career forever. They found a Tesla, abandoned for 5 days, towed in for a routine check. But when they opened it, the smell was so strong, the entire lot shut down. Inside, wrapped in plastic, was a decomposed body, later confirmed as 15-year-old Celeste Rivas, a teen missing since April 2024. Let that sink in. Celeste was only 13 when she disappeared. 2 years later, her remains were found in the very car registered to R&B's rising star, David Anthony Burke, known to the world simply as David. That one connection, the car, was enough to ignite chaos. But then came another revelation, matching tattoos on the same finger, confirmed in forensic reports, and blasted across social media. Fans began connecting dots. They pointed to his song Romantic Homicide, uploaded on September 7, 2022, the same day Celeste turned 12. Too many coincidences, people said. Too many eerie
New video footage of a girl believed to be Celeste at David's concert in late August has surfaced, and she was also wearing a black tube top at this concert, which is what we know she was wearing when she was found dead in David's trunk, based on police reports.
Clips and concert videos showing Celeste herself, or a girl eerily identical to her, right next to David just weeks before her body was found. One viral clip from his Maryland show in August 2025 captures a girl in the balcony, black tube top, long dark hair and the kicker. She's standing beside David's own brother, while David points right at her and makes a half-heart gesture. And that's when everything started to unravel. One interview, now, think about that for a second. If that really was Celeste alive in late August, the entire timeline collapses. Her remains, already badly decomposed, were discovered on September 8. That means one of two things. Either decomposition somehow accelerated under the brutal California heat, or something even darker happened behind the scenes. And if that girl wasn't Celeste, then we're facing a whole new horror. The idea that David was surrounding himself with lookalikes, girls styled to mirror the image of someone who might have already been dead. Either way, it's twisted, but it doesn't stop there. Remember that wig everyone's been talking about? In this newly surfaced angle of the leaked footage, painstakingly analyzed frame by frame by online sleuths, David is seen.
Detective XQC shocked after realizing that D4vd released Romantic Homicide on the same day as Celeste's 12th birthday, with XQC stating there's too many coincidences that line up to the point he believes the rumor
Celeste was described as having when she vanished. Now ask yourself, why would he be holding that? Why would he need to take it? Fans and investigators alike are calling it the smoking gun, a chilling piece of proof that could point to a ritualistic obsession or an attempt to destroy evidence. Some say it's symbolic, a trophy. Others say it's practical, covering his tracks. But whichever way you slice it, that act alone yanks this story out of the realm of coincidence and drops it straight into something far more sinister. And yo, the internet lost its mind. Twitch lit up like wildfire. Even major streamers like Ludwig and XQC jumped in. Ludwig straight up asked if Jason Lewin had seen the allegations. At first Jason tried defending David, saying people were overreacting, but then the hard evidence came out. Matching tattoos, obsessive lyrics, photos of them together, and that's when XQC dropped the bomb. Too interview, too many coincidences, too much smoke for there not to be fire. Now pause for a moment. Why should you even care? Why does this story matter beyond the tabloid headlines and social media chaos? Because this isn't just about one artist, one crime, and one scandal. It's about the one that lets young, impressionable
What this clip tells me here, as well as all the other pictures that I've seen, is that Celeste had a place to stay, right? Somebody was harboring her. David was around, clearly. There were people that were harboring her as a runaway.
Real-life confessions. And it's about accountability in an industry that too often looks the other way until tragedy forces its hand. For Celeste's family, this isn't entertainment, it's grief. For fans who once called David the voice of their generation, it's betrayal. And for the music world at large, it's a wake-up call. How close can art mirror life before it stops being art and becomes a confession? Take David's breakout track, Romantic Homicide. On paper, it's just a moody lo-fi anthem about love and loss. But dig a little deeper. The upload date, September 7th, 2022, the exact day Celeste turned 12. What once looked like coincidence now feels disturbingly deliberate. When you stack that up against everything else, the body found in his Tesla, the matching tattoos, the mother's confirmation of their relationship, the dots start connecting themselves. But here's the most chilling layer of all: the deleted streams. Recently recovered clips show David and Celeste together on live streams, nervously whispering to moderators to wipe the evidence. Celeste's voice can be heard, "Ma, can we delete all votes?" And then right after the stream ends, David adds, "Delete the stream too." Those weren't just throwaway comments. They were digital erasures, tiny desperate acts that now read like confessions in plain sight. 3 interview. Think about that for a second. A missing 13-year-old girl, later confirmed dead, sitting next to David on live stream, asking to erase her digital trail. Investigators don't believe that was an accident. They believe it was intentional, a calculated move to keep her location hidden. And if David knew she was a runaway, as several reports and
the guy she's standing next to is also David's brother, which raises even more questions. Now, the timing here is very important because the concert was about 12 days before David's abandoned Tesla was towed from the Hollywood Hills area near his house.
The night David was supposed to perform for a sold-out Seattle crowd, the concert was abruptly cancelled. Fans were confused at first, until the truth began to leak. Then came the domino effect. San Francisco, Los Angeles. Even his European tour dates were all scrapped. Ticketmaster promised refunds, but no refund could repay the betrayal fans felt that night. And the collapse didn't stop there. The Grammy Museum, where David was set to make a career-defining appearance, quietly removed his name from their lineup. Interscope Records, his label, froze all promotions. The deluxe edition of his debut album Withered was shelved indefinitely, and in less than 48 hours, brands like Crocs, Hollister, and others erased him from campaigns without a trace. David wasn't just losing gigs, he was losing his future. Then came the emotional gut punch. Celeste's family, already shattered by her disappearance, had to face the unimaginable: her death. Her mother told reporters she had always feared her daughter's boyfriend named David might be involved. When the Tesla was found, she knew instantly, deep down, that it was her little girl. Imagine that, a mother forced to watch the internet turn her daughter's tragedy into clickbait and conspiracy. To watch strangers debate whether her child's death was just inspiration for a song. A mother who should have been planning birthdays now planning a funeral, while hashtags like #Justice for Celeste trended across the world. This isn't a scandal, it's a tragedy. And still the internet did what it always does. It turned heartbreak into theories. One viral post claimed Celeste was spotted at a Maryland concert on August 23rd or 24th, 2025. barely 2 weeks before her body was found. The footage showed a girl in a black tube top with the same hair, same build, standing in the balcony right beside David's brother. Whether it was her or not, one thing's certain, this story has crossed every line between truth, obsession, and horror. For interview, if that really was Celeste in that August footage, then the entire timeline collapses. Experts have said her body had been dead far longer than 12 days when it was found, unless of course the brutal California heat somehow accelerated decomposition. Some argue that's possible. Others insist the sighting was debunked. Even TMZ updated their report claiming it wasn't her. But that only raises more questions. If it wasn't Celeste, then why was David surrounding himself with someone who looked exactly like her? And why was he pointing toward the balcony, forming a half-heart gesture? Fans called it obsession, or worse, ritual. Either way, it was dark. Police weren't ignoring any of it. On September 18, 2025, LAPD raided a Hollywood Hills home rented by David's manager. Detectives scoured the property for more than 12 hours, spraying luminol to detect blood and seizing electronics that could hold damning evidence. David, who had been paying nearly $2,000 a month for the lease, broke it immediately after the raid and vanished. So what were police looking for? According to insider reports, investigators believed Celeste might have been staying at that house while she was missing, a runaway sheltered and possibly living alongside David during her final days. And if that's true, this wasn't negligence, it was harboring a child. But zoom out for a second. This isn't just about David, it's about the system, an entertainment machine built on youth, fandom, and obsession that creates the perfect breeding ground for abuse. An artist barely out of his teens, a girl barely into hers, and a culture that romanticizes broken love and toxic passion until someone gets hurt. Celeste wasn't just a victim of one man, she was a victim of a system that blurred the line between art and reality until it snapped. And that wig, the one everyone keeps talking about, it became more than just hair. It turned into a symbol of how twisted that line had become. The bloody shirt, the broken silence, and the wig that shattered his career, they all tell a story darker than any song lyric he ever wrote. When that backstage footage surfaced, showing David holding what looked like Celeste's wig, it wasn't gossip anymore. It was evidence. Investigators already believed she'd been with him in her final days, but this clip showed possession, not just connection. And in a criminal case, possession means control. From the beginning, Celeste's disappearance had been suspicious. She vanished in April 2024, and her mother had already mentioned a boyfriend named David, but no one connected the dots. Then in September 2025, her decomposed body was found wrapped in plastic inside David's impounded Tesla. The car had been abandoned for 5 days before police towed it, neighbors complaining about the smell. The discovery made global headlines. The decomposition told its own story. It meant she had been dead for weeks, maybe longer. Which brings us back to the wig footage. It could explain why people claimed to have seen her alive in late August while her body was already breaking down. That same day, September 18th, police executed their raid on the Hollywood Hills property. They left with bags of evidence, textiles, electronics, even traces of blood. Neighbors said luminol was sprayed across the floors and walls. One haunting detail buried in the report: a bloody shirt was pulled from the house and logged as evidence. Police never confirmed whose blood it was, but paired with the wig footage, the narrative sharpened. The wig showed possession, the shirt hinted at violence. Meanwhile, David's silence was deafening, but the internet wasn't quiet. Twitch streams turned into live courtroom debates. Ludwig brought on Jason Lewin, one of David's closest collaborators, pressing him about the allegations. Jason tried to shrug them off as wild speculation, but when Ludwig showed the tattoo comparisons, the timeline of Celeste's disappearance, and finally, the wig footage, Jason froze. That hesitation went viral. Fans clipped the moment, and it spread across every platform. For many, Jason's silence looked like guilt by association. Then came the collapse of David's empire. tours were already falling apart. Emails from AKSS announced cancellations in San Francisco and LA. But then his official merch store went dark. Hoodies, vinyls, posters, all gone overnight. Insiders confirmed vendors were ordered to stop sales immediately. The wig footage was the breaking point. You can't sell a t-shirt of a man accused of stealing his dead girlfriend's wig during a murder investigation and expect to survive the backlash. For brands like Crocs and Hollister, it wasn't about morality, it was survival. They scrubbed his name fast, terrified of being dragged down with him. And while corporations were scrambling, Celeste's family was grieving. Her mother said she'd always feared David was bad news, but never imagined it would end this way. In Lake Elsinore, the community gathered for candlelight vigils under posters that once pleaded for her safe return. A GoFundMe was launched to cover her funeral expenses. Celeste was laid to rest on October 4, 2025. For her family, that wig wasn't evidence, it was cruelty. Proof that even in death her image was manipulated, her identity turned into a prop. And here's where the psychology turns chilling. Multiple outlets reported Celeste had used fake IDs, leading some of David's friends to believe she was older. The Times of India claimed his circle thought she was 19, until police revealed she was 14 when their relationship began. If wigs and fake IDs were tools in that deception, then David wasn't just obsessed, he was constructing her identity. Crafting a version of Celeste that fit his fantasy, one that erased her real age, her real self, her real life. The wig wasn't just fabric and fibers, it was a symbol of control, obsession, and erasure. To investigators, it ties him to her physically. To fans, it turns every lyric he ever wrote into a confession. In the eyes of Celeste's family, this was just one more way their daughter's life had been stolen from her. The question now wasn't if David took the wig. The footage left no doubt. The real question was why. Was it a trophy, a cover-up, or the final piece in a twisted fantasy he'd been constructing since the days Celeste was still alive? But soon David began to feel the consequences. The first domino to fall was his tour. Fans who had bought tickets for his San Francisco and Los Angeles shows woke up to emails from AXS saying the events were cancelled due to unforeseen circumstances. One heartbroken fan read the notice aloud on YouTube, their voice cracking as the realization hit. The man they had defended online wasn't just skipping a concert, he was vanishing from the stage entirely. That same weekend, his US tour dates were wiped from Ticketmaster's listings. Europe and Asia stops lingered online for a few days before quietly disappearing too. The final blow came when the Grammy Museum, where David had been scheduled for an intimate showcase, pulled his name overnight. A performance that was meant to crown him as a rising icon was gone without explanation. Then came the blackout. Interscope, the label that had poured millions into his debut album Withered, suddenly froze all promotions. The deluxe edition, which insiders claimed was already in production, was quietly shelved. Billboard reported that the release had been scrubbed from schedules. Radio stations that once had him in heavy rotation began cutting his songs mid-program. Even streaming data told the story of his downfall. Spotify showed a bizarre split. Plays of Romantic Homicide and Here With Me surged from morbid curiosity, but David's total monthly listeners dropped by over 500,000 in less than a week. Fans weren't just tuning out, they were unfollowing him en masse to send a message. Inside the fandom, everything imploded. On Reddit, the largest David community locked down discussions, banning conspiracy posts. But within 48 hours, the sub was flooded with screenshots and images tying him directly to Celeste. Moderators had no choice but to shut the entire forum. Stan accounts on Twitter and Instagram, once filled with romantic edits and fan art, began rebranding or deleting entirely. The breaking point came when Fortnite streamer Clix, one of David's most high-profile collaborators, unfollowed him live on stream. That single moment sent shockwaves through the community. If even his gaming inner circle was cutting ties, there was no ground left for defenders to stand on. Meanwhile, Twitch debates were raging. The now infamous exchange between Ludwig and producer Jason Lowen became one of the most dissected moments of the saga. Jason, who had worked with David early in his career, tried to downplay the allegations as out of proportion. But Ludwig pressed him. "Have you seen the tattoo photos? Have you seen the wig clip?" Jason hesitated, dodged, and fell silent. That silence said more than any statement could. Clips of his reaction went viral. Freeze frames captioned, "When you realize your boy might actually be guilty." Jason tried to walk back his comments later, saying he was just shocked. But by then it was too late. The internet had already made up its mind, and even David's closest collaborators were under suspicion. While social media was on fire, investigators were still quietly piecing together their case. Sources close to the LAPD told the Los Angeles Times that they believed Celeste had been staying at the Hollywood Hills rental for months before her death. Evidence recovered from the property, footage, photos, and belongings, suggested she may have lived there intermittently. That revelation changed everything. Celeste wasn't just found in David's Tesla, she may have been harbored by him for months. And if that house had been her secret home, it meant one terrifying thing: everyone who stepped through those doors likely saw her. Which raises the haunting question: how many people knew? The silence from the industry was growing impossible to ignore. When TMZ reported on the raid, they noted that David's $20,000 a month lease in the Hollywood Hills was terminated within days. The New York Post confirmed he moved out almost immediately after the search, abandoning the property like it was radioactive. But while he ran, the people who built his empire, the label execs, streaming giants, and brand partners, stayed silent. Interscope gave no statement. Streaming platforms ignored the sudden spike in his numbers. And brands like Crocs and Hollister, who had plastered his face across campaigns, quietly deleted him from their sites, without ever addressing why they hadn't acted sooner. It painted a disturbing picture: the same corporations that helped create David's image now ducking accountability for enabling it.